I'm Noyman Veksler. I'm a partner at LionBird, an early-stage digital health fund investing out of Tel Aviv and Chicago in U.S. and Israeli entrepreneurs, targeting the U.S. healthcare system as a primary market. The fund was founded over 10 years ago by my partners who were executives at Abbott, setting up their digital health practice and managing their diagnostics division, moving to the venture world. Today, we are investing out of our third fund with a portfolio of 35 plus companies. As for my personal background, I have a PhD in neuroscience and clinical psychology, the world of chronic pain, background in entrepreneurship and artificial intelligence, and focus on our pharma tech practices. At LionBird, we like to define the buckets that we find most interesting. And digital health, at the end of the day, is a very broad term, but think of it as the intersection of technology and healthcare. There's a huge amount of waste in the U.S. healthcare system. So from coding, quality assurance, data exchange, whatnot. So this is the first bucket. The second bucket is tech-enabled healthcare delivery. So just around providing that care, for example, providing care at home like TytoCare, our portfolio company from the first fund. The third bucket is digitizing the science of medicine, which includes digital diagnostics, digital therapeutics, and tech bio, which is a bit of a smaller bucket. We talked about administrative waste in the U.S. healthcare system. There is a 1 to 10 doctor to administrator ratio in that system, which is insane when you think about it. So from LionBird perspective, we like to invest in companies that are automating that workforce, supporting them, whether it's mental health providers in the case of Gemini Health, whether it's in the world of physical therapy, like One Step, that are actually, it's interesting because they actually support med device companies in providing that digital gait analysis, but they also provide the physical therapy, that the therapist that doesn't have a lot of time. So our lens from the 2024 perspective is really about how are we helping our healthcare providers, but also our healthcare executives do a better job and practice at the top of their profession with technology to make a meaningful difference. At the fund, I lead our LionBird Rings initiative, which is a community of budget holders from all the different corners of the healthcare ecosystem. So whether we're talking about the former CSO at Organon or the former head of benefits at American Airlines from the insurance side, or from the med device side, people that led the cardiology division at Abbott. So people that are very experienced in knowing what works and really want to support innovators, entrepreneurs, and telling them, listen, you're barking at the wrong tree. This is where you need to go. This is not where you need to go, because entrepreneurs need to spend time from day one, even with a lengthy regulatory process, in just knowing who are the interested parties in their solution and how they think and operate and what are the attached costs to it. And so this is kind of our service to the ecosystem on both sides, on the East Coast and in Tel Aviv, in telling you, you need to think about these small questions because these are the potential pitfalls as you will start selling. In the recent years, especially post-COVID, but even before that, we see amazing tech talent coming from consumer, coming from generalist domains in technology, and looking to do good and looking to do impact in healthcare. And we really like to invest in this talent. And Israel is definitely one of the leading tech hubs in the world. And from that perspective, we see amazing talent tapping into the U.S.-Israel corridor, and we like to support them on their journey. One of the interesting trends that we're seeing in LionBird is that the older generation or the first generation of digital health companies, innovators wanted to help you better understand symptoms. So it was, okay, is there an increase in pain? Is there deterioration in their diabetes? What is happening with their tracking their menstruation? Or there were all these examples that are attached to the clinics. What we see in the current wave of innovators is that it's more about how care is delivered and assessed, and augmenting the care providers, as opposed to only focus on the clinical side. Because if we are not able to engage these patients and providers, and we will not be able to have an outcome on the finance that is attached to their condition, but also on the clinical side. One of the major cost drivers in the U.S. healthcare system is the aging population that oftentimes suffers from multiple chronic conditions, costs a lot of money. As the system is transitioning in some parts of it from fee-for-service model for paying per procedure, for medical procedure, to a more value-based care approach, or connected to the physical outcomes and to the improvement, basically to the improvement in the quality of care. We are all thinking all the time, are we doing a good job in treating these difficult patients? I think one of the major opportunities for software in this space is really understanding how you provide better care at home, and how are you also connecting all the different collaborators. So for example, medical device companies, that their solutions are used at home, right? Whether we're talking about measuring your glucose levels or whatnot, and connecting that also to your primary care physician, and connecting it to to your hospitalizations. So there's a lot of data to connect, and these are difficult patients. They cost a lot of money. Oftentimes, Medicare Advantage, the government pays for insurance for people over 65. We have a portfolio company that might be interesting to mention with this regard, Heyday Health. Heyday provide virtual first primary care for Medicare Advantage patients, starting with Kentucky and Ohio, and branching out to additional states. What's interesting with Heyday is that they're saving these high brick and mortar costs of the clinics, but they're actually providing you with care both digitally and at home. And so a primary care physician can treat a panel of thousands of patients, because he also has health promoters and nurses and dietitians. And they all have to partner with innovators that are tapping into assessments of, for example, like I mentioned, glucose at home, to provide that best care. So I think it's interesting when you think about the people that are invested in care at home, which is practically everyone, and the costs that are attached to it, basically adverse events. So for example, in this age, fall prevention. First of all, as early stage investors, we believe that you need boots on the ground. So it's very important for us to invest in companies where we have a presence in that market, whether it's in Tel Aviv or whether it's in Chicago or DC, where our partners are at. At the end of the day, in venture, it's all about the talent, right? And you follow the talent wherever it goes. I think a lot of the times people tend to think about what they're good at from the going to the software side, from the technology side. Okay, I do amazing natural language processing. I'm very good at image processing. This is the science that I built in the university. And they don't spend a lot of time thinking of, okay, but is it connected to a significant cost to someone? And will using my solution change that cost, reduce that cost dramatically, or in the case of hospital systems, cost is not enough, generate additional revenues for them. At the end of the day, investors, they meet so many companies. We meet so many companies with very talented people and interesting innovation. So if you were to be very clear in 2-3 sentences on what makes you unique and why it's connected to a lot of money, and then go into the in-depth, I think that it will definitely set you apart. You need to always remember that you have a lot of competition, even when you don't see it, and just be that best version and most accurate version of yourself when you're pitching. Always fun to talk about the portfolio. So the third fund is an $85 million fund, vintage 2020. And it's really the first time we laser focused exclusively on digital health. One interesting company from this third fund is Phase V or Phase 5 that is operating with a headquarters in Boston, R&D in Tel Aviv. And they do adaptive clinical trials, software for adaptive clinical trials. So mainly in the world of clinical trials, the success rate is horrible, less than 10%. We all know it. A lot of money is wasted there, whether we're talking pharma and whether we're talking med device companies. There's a lot of optimization to be done. What Phase 5 is doing is supporting trial managers in identifying how to allocate their patients to the different arms and how to plan the trial strategy. They do it prospectively, but also retrospectively with failed trials. So you will succeed. So that's one, and they're already working with big pharmas. They partner as well with CROs, and they raised over $15 million to date. Another company worth highlighting is Mana Bio. So Mana Bio came out of the academia of the Technion, which is Israeli MIT. Entrepreneurs, this is their second time. We actually invested in their previous journey. The professor leading it was out of Bob Langer's lab at MIT. And they do AI-enabled drug delivery for gene therapies. So this is another interesting one. There we invested together with NFX and A16Z and other great investors, and they raised $20 million to date. Now I have to say that I'm, as always, very impressed with the talent that is investing their time building interesting solutions in our space. I think that not surprising, but the exciting part is that we see all the big strategics, the med device companies that are here in this event. They understand they need good digital solutions, strong digital innovation, that they have a central role in building an ecosystem for founders to play in, and that data, at the end of the day, we know that data is king in obtaining a competitive advantage over your competition. So not surprising, but I am pleased to see that they're all investing time in identifying how AI and data will give them a moat in their day-to-day business practices and in their devices.